Hello students, welcome to today's session. Today we'll be continuing with parts of speech. We'll be covering the remaining topics and then we'll be solving some questions pertaining to parts of speech, just an application of where this topic would be used, what type of questions would be asked, right? So let's start. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to brush through the topics very, very quickly so that we have enough time to solve the questions as well. So we have already discussed about nouns, pronouns, and verbs. So today we are going to start with adjectives. Let's have a look. So adjectives are words that describe or modify nouns or pronouns, providing more information about their quality, quantity, or state. So any word, any particular word, any word that would give me some extra information about a noun or a pronoun, that would describe a noun or a pronoun, probably describe the quantity in which that noun or pronoun is present, or the quality, some traits, right, behavior, or any state. So the types of adjectives, we can broadly classify them into the following types. First, descriptive adjectives, adjectives that describe a particular noun or a pronoun. For example, beautiful, large, round, etc. Next, we have quantitative adjectives that indicate the quantity of that noun, how much of that thing is present, some, many, few, several. See, every adjective would give me something about the noun, would tell me something about the noun. If a word is describing a noun, telling me something about a noun, giving me some more information about a noun, that would be an adjective. Next, demonstrative adjective, they tell us where that particular noun is present. The distance, is it near, is it far? They point out to specific nouns. So demonstrative adjectives would include this, that, these, those. Next, we have possessive adjectives. Again, they would tell us about the fact कि उस particular noun को कौन possess कर रहा है, right? Show ownership or possession of that particular noun. So my, his, her, etc. Next, we have interrogative adjectives. They are used for asking questions, right? What, which, whose, etc. Then we have distributive adjectives. They refer to individual members of a particular group. They refer to the individual members, each, every, either, neither, etc. Then we have proper adjective that derive from proper nouns. For example, American, Chinese, indicating citizenship. Next, compound adjectives, they are made up of more than one word and they are often hyphenated. So, well known, high quality, etc. Next, we have numerical adjective. They indicate the number of the noun. 1, 2, first, 50, etc. And then we have articles. Articles are actually, a type of an adjective. A, and the, they are also smallest group of adjectives. What are they indicating? They are indicating whether a noun is general or specific. Articles भी हमें बता रहे हैं noun के बारे में कि वो general noun है या कोई specific noun है, right? Next, the comparative and superlative degree of an adjective, right? When we need to compare two things or two people or more than two things or two people. So, दो तरीके की category होगी, actually three, if we talk about it. First is just adding IER or IEST, right? Angry, angrier, angriest, okay? Or cheap, cheaper, cheapest. Second category would be you will not add ER or EST. You will add more or most. So more for comparative degree, most for superlative degree. So beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful. I would not say beautifuler or beautifulest. I would say beautiful, more beautiful, and most beautiful. And then there are irregular words, जिनका कोई fixed pattern नहीं है. So for example, bad, worse, worst. Good, better, best. I will not use more better. I would not use more worse, because better is already in its comparative form. Worse is already in its comparative form. So I will not use double comparatives. We'll talk about it in the upcoming slides, that we should refrain from using double comparatives. That would make the entire sentence incorrect. So, some things that we need to remember. First, adjectives ending in IOR take to and not than after them. So, for example, prior, inferior, superior, junior, senior, etc. So I would say he is senior to me. I would not say he is senior than me, he is junior than me. No, I would use to. If I use than here, it would deem incorrect. So generally, adjectives that end in IOR, they take to and not than. Next, some adjectives like unique, ideal, perfect, impossible, universal, they cannot be compared. If I'm saying that a situation is ideal, this is an ideal situation, I mean that the situation is already in its best possible form. If something is ideal, it is in its best possible form. So how can we have a comparative or a superlative degree for that? I cannot say that this situation will be more ideal. Then the usage of this word ideal does not stand correct. So words like unique, this is a unique book. It in itself means that it is better than other books. So we do not need to use comparative degrees for such adjectives. Next, comparative degree is used to compare two things, and superlative degree, it is used to compare more than two things or people. So he is taller than his brother. He is the tallest student in his class. Here we are comparing two people, him and his brother. Here we are comparing more than two people, the entire class. Ramesh is a better employee than Rakesh. So I'm comparing two people. Ramesh is the best employee of our organization. This is something that we already know. So I'll move forward. Double comparatives must not be used ever. Tall, taller, tallest. Taller is a comparative form. I will not say more taller. I will not say more tallest. I will not say more happier. Happier is already in its comparative form. So make note of that. Such questions come in spot the error. Why I'm emphasizing on this list or why I'm discussing these things is because these questions or this knowledge would be tested in spotting the error type questions. Next, when two qualities in the same person are compared, in the same person, I'm comparing two qualities of the same person, then comparative ending with er is not used. Please, this is very important. When two qualities in the same person are being compared, then the comparative ending with er is not used. I will not say she is smarter than clever, because these are the two qualities of the same person, being smart and being clever. So I will not say she is smarter than clever. This would be incorrect. I would say she is more smart than clever. She is more smart than clever. Next, he is as wise, if not wiser than his brother, would be incorrect. As wise के बाद as आएगा. As wise as, and then if not wiser than his brother. Sometimes we forget to add this as wise as smart as, and then if not wiser than his brother. Next, if we are using a comparative degree in the form of a superlative degree, what do I mean by that? Couple is better than any bowler. So here I am not comparing two people. I'm comparing more than two people. But for that, I'm using a comparative degree. Better is a comparative degree. Best is a superlative degree. Better is a comparative degree. So whenever we are using a comparative degree, As a substitute for a superlative degree, we would not just write any, we would use any other. We would not just say any, we would say any other. So Kapil is better than any other bowler. Next, when two comparatives are joined by and, they must be in the same degree. Ron was one of the wisest and most intelligent students of my class. So this is also in its superlative degree. This is also in its superlative degree. When two comparatives are joined by and, they should be in the same degree. Right? Moving on. We'll talk about adverbs now. I'm just brushing through all the topics because this is something that we are already quite acquainted with, familiar with. So I'm just going to take this as a revision class. Next, adverbs. Adverbs modify or describe a verb, an adjective, or any other adverb. Right? They would modify or describe a verb, any adjective, any other adverb, and they would also provide extra information about that action's time, place, manner, frequency, or degree. Generally, adverbs are formed by adding ly to the adjective form of the word. Adverbs are formed by adding ly to the adjective forms of the word. Types of adverbs. Adverbs of manner, they describe how an action is performed, the manner in which an action is performed. So quickly, slowly, happily, carefully, etc. Then we have adverbs of place. They indicate the location or the direction of action. For example, here, there, everywhere, etc. Adverbs of degree, they talk about the intensity of a given adjective or a given action or a given adverb. Very, extremely, quite, enough. Adverbs of certainty, they talk about the level of certainty or probability of any action. Definitely, certainly, surely, probably, maybe. Adverbs of time, they specify when an action takes place. For example, now, then, soon, yesterday, etc. Then we have adverbs of frequency. They express how often an action takes place. Always, sometimes, rarely, never. Adverbs of negation, they express the absence of an action. Not, never, hardly, scarcely. Adverbs of affirmation, they talk about the truth or they confirm the truth or the validity of an action. Certainly, absolutely, surely, etc. Now, if I talk about two words, let's just try to understand this difference. If I talk about three words, I talk about precise, I talk about precisely, and I talk about precision. I hope this is visible. Yes. So precise, precisely, and precision. If we look at precise, ऐसे ही क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, इसी टाइप के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे. ये सब हम इसलिए पढ़ रहे हैं ताकि हम ऐसे टाइप के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर पाए. Precise, right? Your notes are precise. So something which is exact is precise. Precise is modifying or describing a noun. So precise is an adjective. Precisely, right? You should do your work precisely. So it is modifying how you should do your work. It is modifying a verb. So this is an adverb. And precision. Precision is the quality of being precise. It is the state of being precise. It is the state or the quality of being exact. Any quality, any emotion, any notion, any idea, anything that is intangible that cannot be perceived by your five senses would be an abstract noun. So precision is an abstract noun. Okay, next. Conjunctions. Conjunctions connect parts of a sentence. They join words, phrases, or clauses to add some more information to the sentence. Conjunctions can further be divided into three main types. Coordinating conjunction, a conjunction that links independent clauses. How do we remember coordinating conjunctions? By the acronym FAN voice. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And what do we mean by the fact that they link independent clauses? So if I say, I was tired, so I slept. I was tired, so I slept. I'll just write it here so that it's more clear. I was tired, so I slept. Okay? Now here, so is a coordinating conjunction, and coordinating conjunctions, they link to independent clauses. So I was tired is an independent sentence, is an independent clause in itself. It does not need any additional sentence to make perfect sense. I was tired is an independent clause. I slept again is an independent clause. So a conjunction that links two independent clauses would be a coordinating conjunction. Okay? Now, if I say, although I was tired, I went to office. Here, although is a subordinating conjunction. Okay, and subordinating conjunctions link an independent clause and a dependent clause. So when we talked about coordinating conjunctions, they link two independent clauses. When we talk about a subordinating conjunction, they link an independent clause with a dependent clause. What do we mean by a dependent clause here? Although I was tired. Now, this sentence, if I do not add any extra information after this sentence, this particular sentence in itself would not make any sense. This is an incomplete sentence. So if I just say, although I was tired and nothing after that, this is an incomplete sentence. So this part of the sentence acts as a dependent clause. Whereas I went to office makes perfect sense in itself. It's a complete sentence in itself. So this is an independent clause. So subordinating conjunctions would link an independent clause and a dependent clause. Let's have a look at the examples. So we talked about coordinating conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Subordinating conjunctions that link an independent clause and a dependent clause. After, although, because, even though, until, unless, however, even if, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. Next, we have correlative conjunctions. Now, यहाँ पे dependent independent clause का role नहीं है. Correlative conjunctions are those conjunctions that work together, that are used together in a sentence. Either or, neither nor, not only but also, whether or, right? So these work in pairs, they work together. So three types of conjunctions: coordinating, subordinating, and correlative conjunction. Next would be preposition. Prepositions show relationships between nouns, pronouns, phrases, or other parts with other parts of the sentence. So a relationship that a noun has, a pronoun has, or any other phrase has with other parts of the sentence. They are used to show direction, location, time, place, etc. Now, one thing that you should remember here and that you need to remember here is that a preposition should always have an object. It should always take up an object. If I say, she sat on the bench. Here, on is a preposition and bench is the object. So a preposition should always be followed by an object. If it is not followed by an object, then probably it is not a preposition, right? So a preposition should always have an object to take up. That object could be a noun, it could be a pronoun, or it could be a gerund. Okay, but it should have an object. For example, examples of preposition. The book is on the table. She lives in New York. He's waiting at the bus stop. I will meet you at noon. She drove to office. The movie starts at 9 p.m. So again, depending on what the preposition is telling us, there are different types of prepositions as well. First, preposition of place. Another question, important question that comes out of preposition, the difference between at, in, on. It sometimes gets confusing for the students because काफी related है. So let's try to understand. Preposition of place. At भी use कर सकते हैं, in भी, on भी, but different contexts. My car is at the house. Whenever we are talking about a location which is an open space, we are pointing towards a location. I am at the bookstore, right? So whenever we are pointing at a location, we tend to use at an open location. We are at the theater. It was dark in the theater. Now, when I say in the theater, I am inside the theater in an enclosed space. When I say I am at the theater, probably I'm standing outside the theater. I'm not inside the theater. I am at the theater, right? But whenever we say in, we are talking about an enclosed space in the room. We are talking about something which is inside those four walls. So in is used to refer to an enclosed space. The book is kept on the table. On is used to point to a particular surface. Right? On is used to point to a particular surface on the table, on the surface of the table. So at for a particular space, which is probably an open space, to point towards that location. In for an enclosed space, something which is enclosed, and on to point to a particular surface. Next, at, in, and on, they can be used as preposition of place. They can also be used as preposition of time. I had my lunch at 2 p.m. I will meet you at 6 p.m. So whenever we are talking about a specific time of doing something, right, we tend to use at. Whenever we are talking about a specific time, whenever we are talking about a specific time, we tend to use at. I have an academic meeting on Monday. Whenever you're talking about a specific day, okay? Or let's say, I will meet you on the weekend. Series of days. We tend to use on. And I graduated in 2021. Whenever you're talking about a year in general, whenever you're talking about a year in general, we tend to take up in. Ma'am, could you please explain gerunds once? Yes. So gerunds are formed by adding ing to the base form of a verb. Okay? And gerunds are, or they act as nouns. So if I say, let's say walk. If I add walking, ing to walk, it would become a gerund and it would act as a noun in a sentence. I like walking in the park. Now here, walking is not your verb. It is your noun. Like is your verb. Like is your verb. Working is not your verb. It is a noun. You're doing something, right? So gerunds are basically words that act as nouns, and they are formed by adding ing to the base form of a verb. Next, preposition of time: before, during, after, until, by. I'm always busy during the day, so describing the time period of something. We had to leave immediately after the ceremony. The children were excited before the show began. I will return the book by Tuesday. So whenever you're talking about a certain deadline, we tend to use by. So I will return the book by Tuesday. You should submit your assignment by Monday. So by, we tend to use to talk about deadlines. I am busy until Sunday. Until is used to specify the time period between a start day and an end day. So starting from today till Sunday, I am busy. Okay? We shall be returning home by the weekend. Again, sort of a deadline. Next, preposition could come before a noun. Preposition could come before a noun. So I paid by check. Check here is a noun, so it could come before a noun. I broke the mirror by mistake. It could come after a noun. Let's go for a walk. I had burger for lunch. And verb plus preposition. So when we are talking about verbs plus preposition, we call them phrasal verbs. We call them phrasal verbs. Whenever we are talking about a verb plus preposition, we call them phrasal verbs. Broke down, call off, put off. Right? So whenever we are using verb plus preposition, we call it as a phrasal verb. We may have another class dedicated to idioms and phrasal verbs. So there we'll discuss different types of phrasal verbs, important phrasal verbs that are there. Next would be an interjection. Interjection is a short word or a phrase that is used to express a sudden feeling or a sudden reaction. Wow, ouch, or no. Interjections are generally followed by an exclamation mark. Again, interjections of joy: hooray, bravo. Interjections of surprise: wow, oh. Interjections of greeting: hello, hey. Interjections of attention: again, hey could be an interjection of attention when you're trying to grab someone's attention. Oh. Interjections of discomfort: ouch, oh no. Interjections of agreement: all right, okay. Interjections of regret: oh no, alas. And interjections of farewell: goodbye, farewell. Okay, now let's take up a sentence. He got up and rushed down the streets. He got up and rushed down the streets. I hope the sentence is visible. Could someone tell me how many prepositions are there in the sentence? He got up and rushed down the stairs. How many prepositions are there in the sentence? Anyone? Okay. Please remember that I told you that a preposition would always take up an object. Otherwise, we will not classify it as a preposition. In the sentence, he got up. At first glance, one would feel that up is a preposition, right? If I say, we climbed up the stairs, we climbed up the stairs. So here we are pointing to a particular direction upwards, and we have an object, stairs. So here up would act as a preposition. It is indicating something about the noun and it has an object. But when I say he got up, there is no object. And rushed down the streets. Now this is an object. Down would be a preposition here, but up would not act as a preposition here. It does not have an object after it. It will not act as a preposition. Down the streets, down would act as a preposition. So please remember these small nuances. Let's start with the first question. So we have list 1 and list 2. And in list 1, all is used in different connotations. You need to decide कि किस सेंटेंस में all noun की तरह यूज हो रहा है, pronoun की तरह यूज हो रहा है, adverb की तरह यूज हो रहा है या adjective की तरह यूज हो रहा है. So first sentence is all men are mortal. Second sentence, he was alone when I saw him. Third sentence, all spoke in his favor. And fourth sentence, he lost his all in speculation. He lost his all in speculation. बताइए. Anyone would like to answer? ठीक है, please have a look. In the first sentence, all men are mortal. Now men is my noun here, and all is describing the noun. It is telling me about the quantity of the noun. Quantitative adjective. So all here would act as an adjective. So we have A with 4. He was all alone when I saw him. He was all alone when I saw him. So being all alone, there was no one with him. He was is a verb here. ठीक है, alone. So it is modifying my verb and my adjective. So this would be an adverb. Next, all spoke in his favor. Here we are talking about some people, but we are not specifically naming those people, but we are talking about some people, right? All spoke in his favor. We are talking about some people. So, indefinite pronoun. Indefinite pronoun. So, C, 2, and last, he lost his all in speculation. Here all may be wealth, may be power, right? It could be wealth, it could be power, it could be property, right? Everything here that we have discussed would be a noun. So here all would represent a noun. So these are the types of questions that one can expect. Next, identify. Again, same. He lost his all in speculation. Here, all refers to wealth or property or power. So it would be a noun. There is a repetition. Sorry for that. Next, Identify the part of speech repulsive in the sentence. His looks were repulsive to everyone. Any guess? His looks were repulsive to everyone. His looks were repulsive to everyone. Looks were repulsive. Describing looks, giving us additional information about looks, giving us additional information about noun. Looks, how a person looks, state of being, quality, right? So it describes a noun. Therefore, repulsive here would be an adjective. Next, the British approach was not dash based on the Indian historical experiences. The British approach was not accepted based on the Indian historical experiences. I mean, okay, but let's look at some other options. Was not accepting, no. Was not acceptable, this makes the most sense, right? And was not acceptably though is completely incorrect. So the British approach was not acceptable based on the Indian historical experiences. Here we are describing the British approach. Here we are describing the British approach, which is approach. Noun, describing a noun, acceptable. Good. Adya, good. Next, from the given options, identify the tense used in the sentence. Everyone shall be reaching by tomorrow. Everyone shall be reaching by tomorrow. Shall be reaching. Everyone shall reach nahi. Shall be reaching. Yes. Subject plus will or shall would obviously point towards future tense, and ing continuous, future continuous tense. Next, fill in the blank with a suitable preposition. He broke dash in the middle of his speech. He broke dash in the middle of his speech. He broke down. Breaking down is a phrasal verb. It can have two meanings depending on the context of the sentence. When something stops functioning mechanically, that is also broke down. For example, my car broke down, so it stopped functioning. There was a mechanical glitch, and I broke down. So when you're heavy with emotions and you sort of cannot take it anymore and you burst into tears, you break down. So broke down in the middle of the speech. Verb plus preposition, phrasal verb. Next, certain parts in the following sentence are underlined. One of the parts has an error. Identify the part from the given options. Okay, so you have to identify which part of the sentence has an error. She is not one of those who is so foolish. She is not one of those who is so foolish. Any idea which part contains an error? She is not one of those who is foolish. One of those, we are talking about multiple people here. These, those, plural. We are talking about multiple people here. So my verb should not be a singular verb. Subject verb agreement. subject verb agreement. Those, multiple people, is singular verb. She is not one of those who are so foolish. She is not one of those who are so foolish. ठीक है? Uncool millennial. क्या? Please tell us your real name as well. You answered correctly. But I think this is your pseudonym, obviously. But good, good. Whoever you are, good. Next. Identify the adjective in the sentence. My childhood was full of joy and happiness. My childhood was full of joy and happiness. You have to identify the adjective in this particular sentence. And yes, there is an adjective in the sentence. चलो एक एक let's break down. My pronoun, childhood, abstract noun, was, verb, full छोड़ देते हैं, of, preposition, joy and happiness, feeling, emotion, abstract noun, feeling, emotion, abstract noun. Okay, full is describing my abstract noun by showcasing the extent of joy and happiness, by showcasing the quantity of joy and happiness. So full here would act as an adjective. Full here would act as an adjective. Next, choose the correct conjunction. He is rich, dash, he is not happy. He is rich, dash, he is not happy. One part of the statement is a positive statement. It talks about something positive, and then right after that statement, we talk about something negative. So whenever we are talking about something which is positive and negative in the same sentence, and you have to sort of show that contradiction, you have to highlight that contradiction, stress upon that contradiction, we tend to use but. Okay, he is rich, but he is not happy. Dash, it rained a lot, we enjoyed our weekend. Dash, it rained a lot, we enjoyed our weekend. Yes. Good. Although it rained a lot, we enjoyed our weekend. Although it rained a lot, we enjoyed our weekend. Which type of conjunction is this? Coordinating, subordinating, correlating. Which type of conjunction? Although. It is a subordinating conjunction. It is a subordinating conjunction. And although it rained a lot is a dependent clause. We enjoyed our weekend is an independent clause. It links a dependent clause to an independent clause. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. I hope the text is visible. Is the text visible? Please let me know in the chat box if the text is visible, first of all. Then only we can move on with the question. Is the text clearly visible? Yes. All right, I am giving you 5 minutes. Please go through the text and then we'll solve the remaining questions. I'll get a side. काम दे दिया है बच्चों को. वो विजिबल है थोड़ा क्लियरली विजिबल है ना. लग तो रहा है थोड़ा बीच में ब्लर हो रहा है बस. मेरे को एक बार आप दिखा दो. बट लेजिबल है ना. ठीक है, फेयर इनफ, थैंक यू. Okay, so there are these numbers from 1 to 5 and certain words are missing. You have to place words in places of these numbers. So pick the most appropriate word to fill fifth in the given passage. And the options are large, largest, largely, and something that looks like largely. Okay, fifth. Let's have a look. Where is fifth? Okay, here. Something Constitution of the United States of America, but it has also borrowed dash from other constitutions. It has also borrowed dash from other constitutions. You have to pick one word. It has also borrowed dash from other constitutions. Borrowed verb, largely describing the extent of kitna borrow kiya hai. So obviously largely would be the correct answer. Good. Next, pick the most appropriate word to fill two in the given passage. To fill two, let's have a look at two. Prior to the enactment of the Parliamentary Act of 1935, demands were made dash India for the incorporation into the something something. Prior to the enactment of the Parliamentary Act of 1935, demands were made dash India. Demands were made dash India. Demands were made dash India. Demands were made on behalf of India? No. Demands were made behalf of India? No. Demands were made on the behalf of India? We do not need to add the before behalf. Although this would not be completely incorrect, but we do not need. Unnecessary. Unnecessary word. On behalf of India is good enough. On behalf of India is good enough. Next, pick the most appropriate word to fill three in the given passage. To fill three in the given passage. Accepted, accepting, acceptable, acceptably. Three. But by adherence to the rule of law and to unwritten practices and conventions, this was not dash to the Indian mind. This is quite easy, guys. This was not dash to the Indian mind. This was not acceptable. This was not acceptable. Next, pick the most appropriate word to fill one in the given passage. The, in, on, with. One. Unlike dash Britain, the Indian Constitution has a Bill of Rights. Unlike dash Britain, the Indian government has what is it? A Bill of Rights. Yes. So unlike something that happens in Britain, so unlike in Britain, in would be correct. Last, pick the most appropriate word to fill 4. I think this is 4. This should be 4 and not 3. There is a misprint. This should be 4. Rational, rationale, rationally, rationality. The Indian Bill of Rights, okay, like the American reaction, is in the large measure a product of the British rule. The Indian Bill of Rights dash in a certain measure the pattern. Okay, is this 4 or is this? Okay, I think that's 3 only. Oh, 3, yeah. There's no. Let me have a look. 3 to acceptable ho gaya. I think we are through with 1. We are through with 5. We are through with 2. We are through with 3. We are through with 1. 4 here. ठीक है? 4 here. Yes. It has been said that the Indian reaction in enacting the Bill of Rights, like the American reaction, is in large measure a product of the British rule. The Indian Bill of Rights, 4, in a certain measure, the pattern of Constitution of the United States of America, but it has also borrowed, blah, blah, blah. I think there is some error in this question because the options do not make sense. I think there is some error in this particular part of the questions. Okay, I think there is some error in this particular part, but all in all, that is all for today's class. I've given you an overview of what type of questions you can expect pertaining to parts of speeches. And obviously, no one is going to ask you directly. No one is going to ask you, what do you mean by a noun or a pronoun? No one is going to ask you the types of adverbs or adjectives. But these are questions in which your knowledge would be tested. So that is all for today's class. Thank you so much, everyone, and take care.